meeting to order. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Those who according to New Jersey Appellate Meeting have been satisfied with forwarding the news release to Asbury Park Press on December 12, 2013, stating that a regular meeting of the ToCN Township Committee would be held on December 10, 2014, 7:30 p.m. at Town Hall. Notice of occurrence has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board. Copy is on file in the office of the Township Clerk.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Schatzel.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Engel.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Here.
Mayor Fitzgerald.
Here.
And Mayor McNow. Here.
Approval of the minutes. Any comments from the committee on the November 12th meeting? So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Schatzel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mayor McNow.
Yes. Announcement, the final meeting of the Township Committee will be held next Wednesday, December 17th, 2014. Last meeting of the year, folks. For this evening is an announcement from Mr. Robert Bowden, the Township Administrator, Municipal Clerk.
Use the bulletin pulpit for a second, if you don't mind. Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Try to get these words out. I was hired by the Township of Colts Neck in May 1990, after having served as town administrator in Byron, which is in Sussex County, from 78 through 80, Jefferson Township, which is in Morris County, from 80 to 85, and nearby in Howell, from 85 to 90. During now my almost 25 years here in Colts Neck, I've served 17 mayors, presided over some 55 elections, and attended some 650 township committee meetings, never missing one, which even I'm impressed by that. Here in Colts Neck, it has always been my privilege to work for one of the premier communities in all New Jersey, with exceptional elected officials, exceptional employees, and the best residents anywhere to be found. For this privilege I have always been and will always be grateful. There comes a time in everyone's career, however, to say goodbye. And for me, that time has now arrived. As such, I'm announcing my retirement effective May 1st, 2015, bringing to a close a 37-year career of public service, the vast majority here in Colts Neck, the town that I love. There are too many thank yous to go around, but thank you to each and every elected official, each and every employee, and most of all, to each and every resident and taxpayer. It's my sincere hope that my job performance has met your expectations. So there's still much to do between now and May 1st, and I can assure you the business of the town will continue in a smooth and professional manner until that time.
Well done, Bob.
Thank you.
Ready to get up here?
I'm ready. Got my composure. Ready to join the mayor?
Fourth on the list for tonight is a presentation of public recognition. Our tax assessor, Elder McNally, is retiring as well. But now we'd like to make a presentation for him. Elder, will you come up?
Yeah, what if I'm joining this? If I could share, what is this? Step aside, Mayor. Wow, what a night! Night of transition. Just a few words about Elba McNally, our tax assessor. 18 years ago, both our finance officer, a woman by the name of Carol McCoy, and our assessor at that time, a guy named Bernie Marks, retired both simultaneously. The township committee at that time said, look, we pay you to run the operation, pick the finance officer, pick the assessor as you see fit. And I think I did pretty well. So John Antonides has been a great finance officer, but Eldo has also been and served as a great tax assessor. Let me just say this, a tax assessor is not an easy job. Tax assessor says no most of the time, because all of you good folks come and would like your assessment lowered, and thereby your taxes. And it's up to Eldo to say no. And let me say this, Eldo has perfected the art of saying no in a professional way, with grace, with professionalism, with patience, and that sometimes can be difficult. The gentleman that he replaced, Bernie Marks, who's no longer with us, I guess I can say this a little bit, was completely the opposite of work of Eldo. A little ornery, came in with a big cigar, barely gave residents the time of day, and that's not the assessor that we wanted, nor did we expect to have in town. So, Eldo, I'm glad to call you my friend. You have done a wonderful job as tax assessor. You served in that capacity in other towns, and we just can't thank you enough. So the mayor has a few words too.
Although the one thing I always say about township employees is the best thing that you can hear about a township employee is nothing. And that means that people are not complaining. And to echo what Bob had to say, yours is probably the most difficult job in any township, because you are in essence the complaint department. And people are complaining about money, the most precious thing. And to not hear a single resident, and certainly in my tenure, and I believe in the rest of the committee's tenure, hear any complaint, anything negative about you, just says so much about the way you handle yourself, you handle your job, the way you deal with people. And to the contrary, I talk to residents who have had questions or had issues with their assessment. They've come in and talked to you, and regardless of the disposition, they've always had something good to say about you. And that really is a credit to you as a person, as a professional, and as a man. And we thank you for your service here in town. I'd like to read this, what's contained on this plaque for you. This is presented to Eldo Magnani Jr. in appreciation and gratitude for 18 years of service as the Colts Neck tax assessor. Thank you for a job well done. Enjoy your retirement. It's presented by the Colts Neck Township Committee, December 2014. Thank you, sir.
I'd like to say that in my tenure here, I met probably 75% of the homeowners. And I always felt that an assessor has a statutory obligation to teach the taxpayers and educate them in their rights and educate them on how their assessment is being established and gain the confidence with the taxpayer that you need to go forward. And I think I achieved that here, because no matter whether you came in like a lion, I made sure you left like a lamb. And I gave you everything you needed, and I think everybody knows that. I never, I was always a tax assessor that made records available to the public before they were mandated to be public information. And I think that was part of my success with the homeowners and taxpayers, to gain their respect. And, you know, I love this town. I wouldn't have retired, but my health is such that I just can't do the job anymore to the quality that this town deserves. And I know that you'll be in good hands with my successor, Bill Leard, and I'll be coming back periodically to help out if he needs it, and to talk to all of you again. But have a very happy holiday, and thank you very much.
So obviously we've known about Bob's retirement and Eldo's retirement for some time. We kept Bob's pending retirement somewhat quiet to give him the ability to tell everybody publicly, and also because he's not going to end his tenure for another 3 months, get us through another budget season. And certainly to incoming Mayor Schatz, I'm sure he's appreciative of that. And also for Eldo, similarly, we wanted to give him the opportunity to retire publicly and tell everybody, and also gives us the ability to transition into our incoming tax assessor, that's Bill Laird. And for anybody that wants to know, no relationship to our Laird's in town, because I know everybody's thinking the same thing, because I asked the same question. But so I'm going to ask for a motion on Resolution 2014-130, which is a resolution confirming the appointment of our new Colts Neck tax assessor, Mr. William Laird, who was hired after a process. We went through a hiring process just like any other hiring process. We took in resumes, there was a committee, there were interviews, there were second interviews, third interviews, and ultimately, on the recommendation of Aldo and the committee that sat and interviewed the prospective candidates, we opted to hire Mr. Laird, who has graciously, and I don't say that lightly, been assisting Aldo on his own time with the burden that's been thrust on us by the state/county in this new program, which is quite time-consuming. And Bill's come in and helped out Aldo over the last few months, and we really appreciated that as well. So can I get a motion on that resolution? Anybody want to make that motion?
I do, thank you. I had the pleasure of being on the subcommittee and working with our administrator and our planner on the interviewing process, and I had a chance to get to know Mr. Laird, and I'm very confident he's going to do a great job for us, so it's my pleasure to go ahead and make that motion.
And I'd like to second that, Mayor, and only because I have the second opportunity, I do want to thank the Deputy Mayor. By my calculations, it was somewhere between 40 and 60 hours that he spent with the administrator, our current tax assessor, until he actually walked in the door over. That it doesn't happen by accident. Obviously, that's kind of part of the equation of being on the finance subcommittee, which I guess is the reason that he grabbed that bull by the horns, and so that doesn't happen by accident. And I certainly appreciate it. I would like to make second that motion, and hold my comments about that from
Any comments?
there. I was the second.
He was the second.
Deputy Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Schatz?
Yes.
Councilman Engel?
Yes.
Councilman Orgo?
Yes.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNamara?
Yes, and I'd like to introduce you to your new tax assessor, Bill Laird. Bill, stand up. This is your new complaint department.
Bill will be starting Monday.
There you go.
Getting luck.
I was remiss in allowing the other committee in to speak about Aldo. I know Committeeman Fitzgerald would like to say a couple of things.
I know some of us do, but I'm going to defer to the Deputy Mayor because I think the protocol dictates that he speak first, and quite frankly, because he was the laboring oar in moving us to our next generation, both figuratively and literally. I would defer to the Deputy Mayor.
I appreciate that, sir. Aldo, just a pleasure. Every interaction that I've had with you on my 8 years, or almost 8 years on this committee,
And even before then, it's been a pleasure. And I think it was very well said how well you treated our residents. And we will be calling you, I'm sure, for advice every now and again. And we appreciate that opportunity.
We'll always be here for you, that's for sure.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
I just want to simply just echo all the comments, Aldo. I think it's no doubt that, one of our jobs is we constantly get bombarded with folks asking for information. And it really is a relief in this position to be able to defer folks with confidence, knowing that they'll come to you, and usually they never really come back to us. So I just want to say thank you for that. And it is with great sadness that we lose you from this position, but as Bob, I've been talking about there's plenty of opportunities ahead. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Aldo, we've known each other a lot of years.
Yeah, that's for
More than we want to count.
Sorry, Aldo.
Yeah.
No, as long as good.
As with everything, we give you a holler if we need something.
I know.
We'll take care of it for you if we can. And we thank you for what you've done for Colts Night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Although I think that the public probably doesn't recognize, but your stepping away and deciding to retire is certainly your choice, and it's both honorable, and I don't think probably most of the population knows, number one, the great effort, but also the timing of this and how significant it is. I know it's your choice and the timing is your choice, but the world in tax assessing is changing, both as a result of the internet and web services and such the others. And Monmouth County is in a significant world of change. And as you know, some of us don't necessarily agree with some of those changes that are occurring. But I think that part of what you recognized in bringing this to the fore, and I'll circle back to the timing of our administrator and our tax assessor both announcing their retirements. Bob had picked this day many months ago, and I think we should be aware of that, not knowing that Aldo was going to then say it's now my time. Bob stuck to his guns because it was important to him to let his staff know without that being public information, and he did let us know, and I think it's going to be a wonderful transition. But this is Aldo's night, and I think you not only said it's my time, but you also made it a point to fill your seat. You wanted to be involved, you had a good idea of what was necessary, and truth be told, you nosed around and helped us find the right person for the spot. And Bill stepped in. He's been at it a couple of months because, quite frankly, he helped us finish that September, October transition that Eldo warned us about a couple of years ago, and it came upon us in no time. And I know you mentioned in your speech about your health issues. And you made a great rebound that we were all happy about. And I guess it's easy to walk away when the guns are firing. It's probably harder to walk away when no one's shooting at you. When you walk away at the top of your game, I think that's the best statement. It's I think a huge kudo to you that you've decided to walk away when it is your time. And I often think about the fact that sometimes the measure of a person is not knowing what they can do, but knowing what they can't do, or what they don't necessarily want to do, or have that desire to tackle. And I mean that as a compliment, because the reality is you recognize the change was now, and you decided to make the change for the good of the townspeople. Most of them will never know about that. Those of us on the committee do. And for those additional things, I thank you. Thank you.
I think we're ready. Yeah, let's take a minute recess. Thanks. Well, all the folks would like to leave.
I try not to go back in time. I do. You should look at the
All right, here we go. Number 6 this evening is a mayor's proclamation supporting the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2014 year-end holiday campaign, which runs from December 5th, 2014 to January 2nd, 2014. Whereas impaired drivers on our nation's roads kill more than 10,000 people each year and cost our society more than $37 billion annually, and whereas 22% of motor vehicle fatalities in New Jersey in 2013 were alcohol-related, and whereas an enforcement crackdown is planned to combat impaired driving, and whereas the season at the end of the year is traditionally a time of social gatherings, which often include alcohol, and whereas the State of New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety has asked law enforcement agencies throughout the state to participate in the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over year-end holiday campaign, and whereas the project will involve increased impaired driving enforcement from December 5th, 2014 to January 2nd, 2015, and whereas an increase in impaired driving enforcement and a reduction in impaired driving will save lives on our roadways. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Russell Mayer, the Township of Colts Neck, on behalf of the entire Township Committee of the Township of Colts Neck, support the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2014 year-end holiday campaign from December 5th, 2014 through January 2nd, 2015, and pledge to increase awareness of the dangers of drinking and driving. Number 7 this evening, ordinance 2014-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 102 Development Regulations, lot size averaging. This is the second reading by title, and for those that have not been here the last couple of meetings, this amendment to our land use ordinance allows for 20% lot coverage on A1 and the A1 clusters. The A1 clusters. Right. A1. It makes it uniform with the other zones. It's a relatively minor change. It also exempts from site plan requirements ponds and recreation courts, which we were advised by council we cannot not include in the site plan requirement. Any comments from the committee? Yeah. No comments from the committee. I'll open the matter to a public hearing. Any comments from members of the public? I know this is stimulating conversation, folks. Okay. Seeing no comments from the public, I'll close the public hearing. I'll take a motion on this ordinance.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Jackson.
Yes.
Mayor Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Porgo.
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mayor McNabb.
Yes. Resolution 2014-131, a resolution approving shared service agreement between Colts Neck Township and the County of Monmouth and Monmouth County Sheriff's Office. This is for our dispatch services. The amount for this year is $103,296.34, which I believe is a slight increase from like a couple $1,000, I think. If I remember.
Something last year.
Yeah, I think it was like a $1,000 increase. A relatively insignificant increase. And for those that don't know, Colts Neck does not dispatch itself. We don't take our own 911 calls. That's all handled by Monmouth County. And we are the oldest, I believe, municipality in the county to use dispatching services through Monmouth County. And this resolution memorializes that shared service agreement. Any comments from you?
Just, I'm sorry, just a few. One is we are a charter member of that system, so I'm very proud of that. It's worked very well. I'm very much of a county emergency service coordinating type of attitude from my training, and I think it's a good agreement to keep in place. Bob, I actually did mean to call you earlier today and you get a chance. If you could just check for me on the automatic license plate recognition. I do want to make sure that we are taking full advantage of the data maintenance at the county, which is in this agreement. Also, just for the public's knowledge, with all agreements, I look though to make sure if something does change, that we're not locked in too well, and why this is a multi-year agreement. We do have a 90-day written notice without cause, as do they, if for some reason we found a better alternative, but it works for us very well.
That's it.
I do have, echoing the deputy mayor's comments, I'd like the automatic license plate reader, I've been reading up a lot on them, both because I'm the police liaison and also because someone in the news. Those license plate readers capture for a fairly short period of time. The information is not maintained for, we kind of think it's maintained for weeks or months or years or whatever. That's not the case, and it depends on, I guess there are certain settings you can have in terms of maintaining it and cross-using it. But I think we probably want to see if there's better use of that for us. Maintaining it along, because if we see, for the license plate reader picked up a car that was an unusual registration that had been in town a month ago, and something happened, that we would like to have that information, and I don't know if we get that. The second thing is, the price is, if I recall correctly, somewhat call-driven. It's based upon, the price is based upon number of calls and utilization of the system, so it's not like the regional school system tax thing that is population-based or anything else, so it's a, kind of use as you go. And the last comment is, if you haven't already as a township committee person or a city mayor, if you get a chance to see the call center, it is truly state-of-the-art. It's although we think it's just dispatching, it's when you call, if you call the regular Colts Neck number at night, it goes to the county dispatch. You call 911 any time while you're in Colts Neck, it goes to the county dispatch. But their ability to mobilize emergency services is fairly significant, and it's another drill / service that I hope they don't have to use. So I do think it's money well spent when you think about the math of maintaining dispatcher bodies in the building.
More importantly, we cannot do it by anywhere close to them.
Right, not take ourselves, right.
Okay, can I get a motion on that resolution, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Borgo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNally?
Yes. Resolution 2014-132, this is a resolution endorsing the Colts Neck Shade Tree Commission efforts to establish a level 1 arboretum at the Town Hall core site. Dr. Boak was here last meeting. We talked a little bit about the arboretum process. Since I do not have a terribly good recollection of his presentation,
It was, your shade is.
It was, they're gonna label all the trees and get them, we have a map already done. It's just getting us into an arboretum status.
registry, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a registry.
And,
There's certain requirements for level 1 arboretum
Right.
on the international.
that they have to be in charge of cleaning the trees and taking care of them, we just can't. So, that's what it's all about, more than
And this resolution supports their ability to become a level 1.
I think that was actually one of the requirements that you did
Yeah.
in this resolution.
Right.
And there's no cost to us.
Dr. Boak said no cost. That's a good thing.
Comments, John? Second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Borgo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNally?
Yes. Resolution 2014-133, resolution authorizing the award of bid use of township property for agricultural purpose. Bob, just
Sure.
real quick.
We go out to bid as we're required to allow for the upkeep and farming of 2 parcels in town. One is commonly known as the Smith Farm, there in Route 34. And the other property is the property that we put in farmland preservation adjacent to the high school. Totals about 30 acres. We bid a minimum of $35 an acre. We did get 1 bid at that price. So, it's not all about the revenue, which will bring in $1,000, $1,050 a year. It's really a way of showing support for farming. It's a way of keeping our land looking good, and it's part of what we are about here. So we recommend award that bid to I think Hemlock Farm,
Yes, they're on Fairbanks Road here.
and it's a 2-year award.
I have one question, Mayor, if I could. I'm reading, and just to make sure I'm not reading it right, the proposal that came from Hemlock Hill mimics that. It's a 2-year, $1,050, but it says bid award shall be based on the price per acre times estimated 30 acres times 3 years, the highest.
It's 2 years.
That's a typo then.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that favorable?
Because the arithmetic's correct.
The arithmetic right under it by them is correct, but I just want to make sure that it does not, we're not doing a three-year deal instead of 2 years.
There's no confusion about that.
We didn't do it 2 years.
Where it says bid award.
In the verbiage right above it. Right here, it says.
Right above
Oh,
example.
100 acres times 3 years in the highest, yeah.
We didn't do it only because, Bob and I talked about it, only because we don't know what our leaf situation is going to be in a few years.
No, I don't care for the term, I just want to,
Yeah.
whatever you guys decide is fine, it's just, it said one set, one spot, it says two, and one set, it's three.
I would say by making the motion for 2 years, it's clearly that please, yeah, it's okay in the authorization.
It does not seem as though we were having vendors knocking down the doors. But yes, it is nice to have the land not lay fallow. It's good that it's put to use, and the money's not an issue at all.
And the resolution says 2 years.
Yeah. Did we get a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Shatsky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. Resolution 2014-134, resolution confirming the agreement between the Township of Cold Neck and the Cold Neck Sports Foundation pertaining to portable outdoor light towers. It's a pretty simple agreement. The Sports Foundation, more particularly the soccer club, a few years back, purchased some portable lights, which we more or less commandeered during Sandy for emergency use, and they've been gracious enough to let us use them on a couple of occasions in the past. This resolution and an agreement with the Sports Foundation allows us to continue using those lights when we do need them in exchange for us performing simple maintenance, which will fall under the purview of emergency management. So any costs associated with that will come out of the emergency management budget. After consulting with Ed Thompson, Director of Public Works, my understanding is that the cost is a relatively nominal cost to maintain these particular pieces of apparatus. And I recommend this one to the committee. I think it's a win for the Sports Foundation, it's a win for the township. We don't own any portable lighting equipment other than what might be on our fire trucks. So these already have come in handy on one occasion, and I know we use them. They get used at the fair as well. But more importantly, for emergency situations, that's what we're looking for. And so I recommend this one to the committee. Any comments?
Mayor, just I spoke with the president of the Sports Foundation, a past president who, believes in this partnership, and like you said, it's a good one.
Anything else? Any motion on this one, please?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Shatsky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. 2014-135, a resolution authorizing the formal transfer of funds to 2014 budget. This is the time of the year where we're moving money around from different budgets to cover other budgets. Yeah. This one,
From street roads to
Yeah.
legal service.
yes.
We spent more money on lawyers this year than one.
The balance is $20,000.
It's a $20,000 transfer.
So moved. So moved.
Second. Second from Jim. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Shatsky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. Resolution 2014-136, this is a resolution appointing Registrar of Vital Statistics, Ms. Ruth Wenninger. I understand she is the current Registrar of Vital Statistics. She has to be reappointed on a yearly basis, correct?
I think it's 3 years.
3 years, okay. Yeah.
Elizabeth, May 12, 2016.
Well, we're a little late on you.
Is this supposed to be, it's a 3-year appointment, so it's allegedly non-political?
Yeah, definitely.
I just wondered the timing, why we're doing it this time.
Because the project found the estimation.
Okay.
That's the honest answer.
Done now, so motion.
And so, yeah, I mean, Ruth does the wedding applications and some other things that require,
Deputy Mayor made a motion, I second it.
good, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Shatsky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. And as a supplement, 2014-137, resolution appointing Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics, Ms. Kelly McCormick, who does cover for Ruth when Ruth is out.
Correct.
Again, for me, mostly doing weddings.
Motion. Second.
Good, roll call.
Deputy Mayor Shatsky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Engel?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. Motion to adopt consent agenda resolution 2014-138, resolution authorizing acceptance of performance guarantees, planning board application number 690B, which is Huddy's. Resolution 2014-139, a resolution approving change order number 2, final 2013 road improvements phase 2 plus $4,500. Resolution 2014-140, resolution authorizing the release of performance guarantees and acceptance of maintenance guarantee, planning board application number 673, Spencer. Comments, gentlemen?
Where applicable, they've been recommended by the township engineer.
Yes.
So, take a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Shack?
Yes.
Deputyman Engel?
Yes.
Deputyman Borgo?
Yes.
Deputyman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes. Administrator report,
No report tonight, Mayor, thank you.
vouchers, Mike.
You announcing your resignation wasn't what
No,
you
it
wanted.
That was easy.
Any other bonds? No. So vouchers, total, I love this one, there's only one comment in the list of vouchers, $592,948.40. You review those and they all appear in order. One clarification, for those of you that closely read, there's a reference to Branning's Auto Body as item 1583, and it says purchase of fire pumper truck number 2. That's not an accurate entry. This was actually for the repair caused by an auto accident to pickup truck number or whatever. So don't read that thinking it's towards some other purchase of another vehicle. It's not, it's a physical repair. So before that question comes up.
After subrogation, we should get that entire amount back because
So we're
rear vendors.
I got one question.
Go ahead.
Central Jersey 7. I see they pumped out the police station for $273, but who knows if they pump out for $300 and some dollars difference? $352.
One I thought was the firehouse, no?
It's not coming to me right away, Tom, but
Why difference in price? One reason why I'm saying, because now Central Jersey is not Central Jersey.
I think the one was a bigger tank.
Yeah, gallons.
Now, I just know with the things I'm going through, they've been raising the prices up and down.
I'll get you that detail.
And the other thing is, what truck got fixed for $11,587 brakes?
Bricks?
So it's Mid-Atlantic Truck Center. Truck brakes, invoice $11,587.76.
I don't have a visibility.
Even if
It sounds like a public works dump truck, but I'm not sure.
Yep, that's outrageous.
Yeah, I don't think it was just bricks, I think that's couple of.
It didn't see, to reiterate on that, I will go back and check it, but I instituted a policy a number of years ago after speaking with the deputy mayor. We used to get bills from all auto parts places that had no specificity as to what vehicle they were for, and now we require that they indicate that.
Well, the reason why I say is because we went into the shared services with the county, and the county is more than welcome to do all the brake jobs and truck jobs that we have. And before we spend $11,000 on something like this, I mean, I send trucks out, you get only brakes and rotors on the tri-axles, and it's like less than 5. So, I mean, it's
I
just hot.
just don't remember what it was.
We'll get you the answer tomorrow.
Which one?
Okay.
$110.
I'll get you answers tomorrow.
Give me more than $11,000.
I didn't see any little page.
12?
12.
Page 12? No, 10. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down.
Perfect, 11,587.
No, we'll pull that into our sheet.
Yep.
Sure.
I mean, it just,
Probably for a ton of stuff.
Couple of them.
Yeah, it shows maintenance of repair vehicles. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the vouchers? Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Shackle?
Yes.
Deputyman Engel?
Yes.
Deputyman Borgo?
Yes.
Deputyman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNabb?
Yes, except to abstain as disclosed.
So noted.
committee reports. Tom?
Well, shade trees tomorrow night, because it's supposed to be last week, so I really don't know. I know that I'm happy with our new ordinance, but we're gonna have to work on that a little bit. The CNBA had a meeting today. We have a few new businesses in town. The Cold Snake Bagel Shop opened back up last week. There's also a Rook coming in, coffee shop, right next door.
A little competition.
Yeah. Well, the landowner that sold out, the owner of the Orchard Shopping Center, signed a contract after he told them no, the day before he closed. But there's not much you can do with that.
Where's he going?
Right next to the bagel shop by Perkins, between.
So popular, the language.
I gotta say, there's one branch too, isn't there?
Well, they got 5 stores, they're opening 2 more besides Cold Snake Center. It was in today's paper, too.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Rook,
Yeah.
just like a
Especially,
Starbucks.
especially.
Or-
No, it's gonna be deputy
Yeah,
mayor.
but it's small,
They don't have any seating.
small young
From what I
couple,
understand.
young couple.
Where, Little
They're
Caesar?
not together. Huh? They're just friends, but-
I just said young couple.
See, this is really short. Move on.
All right. Anything else, Tom?
Wildlife. We're sure getting our share of deer accidents here in town. I think we had 9 last week in reports. In fact, my daughter got one Sunday night, so I know she's not reported yet. Deer season opened up Monday. I don't know exactly how the kill was going. Yesterday it really hurt because it was a tough day out yesterday. So I was driving. Good fools. Planning board, we didn't have a meeting. That's about it.
For the planning board application, I do want to note that and I'm going to get with the chief and maybe with the county if we need to, with the sheriff. It just blows my mind that the deer report, activity report we get is, if you notice the last one, or I guess the one before the last one, number of MVA incidents, 0 for 5 days. Number of reports involving deer, the other 5 are deer that are damaged, mushed, mashed, otherwise busted up, but not related to a motor vehicle accident. It's obviously been hit by a car. Because the car person didn't call, it's not reported, it's obviously a motor vehicle. I mean, in one of them, the deer, I mean, I hate to be graphic, but the deer got thrown on a fence, and was stuck on the fence. That doesn't happen by accident, and, well, it does happen by accident. But it's not reported in the motor vehicle thing, so obviously the statistics we're getting are skewed.
Yeah.
Part of the
My daughter didn't want to report it either. I says, why not?
In the drive sober, get pulled over context, we did, Cold Snake was successful in getting a DWI grant of 6,000?
75,
Yeah, it was a pretty good number to put officers on the road just to target that particular offense.
We were one of 18 towns in Montana.
Yeah. I was remiss in letting the township committee members know that there was another car theft out of Cold Snake last night. Saying, no, it was a neighbor, James Dawson, with Fitzgerald household, now takes the keys out of the car. This person did not. The car was stolen from the driveway with keys in it. And it's a 2013 Porsche. So, keys in it.
What color?
I think it was a little sportier than Jim's.
So we're back around again, this is a recurrent problem with this auto theft ring, so take your keys out of the car and don't leave them in the car.
And one other thing, and this is probably not our committee report, but I just wanted to, maybe it's time to update our notice requirement, because I was thinking about the fact that we probably read this for all of your 25 or 26 years here, but announcing that the requirements are posted on the township bulletin board.
That's figuratively.
And we do have one. But I thought maybe in 2015, maybe we can move toward an announcement that says something like the requirements are posted on the township website. And a copy is kept in the office of the township clerk, just to maybe get into this millennium. Or chalkboard. Or chalkboard, we can mention the chalkboard, you're right. When
We don't want to sign.
the grandfather bought gongs.
Don't change that to
As one update, Mayor, I attended the tree lighting this past weekend, and I just want to give a big thank you to our recreation department, who did a phenomenal job putting it together. Even though it was so cold, it was very well attended. And also everybody involved in that event, between the band and emergency services, and of course Santa Claus. I mean, it's a great event that we have every year.
Just some sad news. We had one of our life members and former volunteer of the year pass just a few nights ago, Mr. Frank Yates, living on Revolutionary Road. He'll be sorely missed.
If you notice the flags down, I don't know if you noticed and were wondering why, but that is why, for Mr. Yates, in honor of Mr. Yates.
Yeah, and just to transition into the library, both of them and his wife have been active with the Friends of the Library for many years also. They also will be missed from that end as well. Library's in the midst of their art show. It started this past weekend. We'll continue and finish up this upcoming weekend. They always do a great job with the art show. Really wonderful. It's a really wonderful work of arts. If you get a chance, certainly feel free to attend. Some nice things to buy. That is it for me. All right, folks, your turn. Anybody have any comments this evening? Jeff?
Thank you. First, Bob, congratulations. I know you'll be missed, and the next person's got some big shoes to fill. Quite big shoes, so congratulations on that. Really quick, Mayor, on May 28, 2014, at the township meeting, going back to the video recording, and you guys can go to the website too, where it's posted just to see. But I went through it again real quick. Mike Fitzgerald at that time, who speaks freely, and that's abundantly clear, was against the recordings because he felt it was, afraid you're giving out personal information, and
Don't
what that.
don't mischaracterize what I said. Don't even go there.
Please let me finish.
As long as you're going to tell
Sir.
the truth.
I'm telling the truth. You can go to the videotape too.
I didn't say I was against the recording, did I?
Okay. You were against it, or concerned about it, and then, because of personal information, maybe going out, like if you're on vacation and so on and so
You
forth.
agree with that, right?
And Virginia Amon at that time just made a comment too, that you should be careful or guarded, using her terms, in terms of what information you provide out. And then, Mayor, you went on to agree with Mike Fitzgerald and added that it has like a chilling effect, that you felt people wouldn't speak freely or openly. And then Jared Angle, you just echoed what Russell Macknow said. But now that it's been recording for about 7 months, and maybe you guys had a little bit more time to reflect, and taking me out of the equation, because I know you guys aren't abundantly happy with Jeff Sauter. That's okay. Are you guys still against video recording public meetings?
We're in favor of allowing members of the public who wish to record our meetings in accordance with the law to do so, which is what you were doing. You're free to do that.
Okay, so you're okay with me recording, but
I'm in favor of people doing what they're legally entitled to do, which is to record public meetings, so long as they don't interfere with the meeting. And you don't? We haven't complained about it?
okay.
We haven't said anything to you?
No,
You're free
not
to
at all.
do it.
And so we're clear, this is not an endorsement of you. We have no problem with anybody recording, videotaping the record. In fact, as you brought it up, I prefer the video recording so that someone is not mischaracterizing what they said. Because what
Exactly.
specifically said back in April.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Good. Then you'll be more than happy to tell the public what I said was, I have no problem with the videotape, but be cautious about what you say on the tape for fear that someone will know when you're away. That's what I actually said. You
Okay.
have a problem with the videotape, correct?
Okay, so the public can go and look and see if Mike Fitzgerald was right or Jeff Sauter was right in terms of what you said. That's okay. But Mayor, would you go on the record to personally say you're for it or against it?
I just said you have the right to do what you do.
Okay.
You're fine.
And it's the
Okay.
law.
It's the law.
No, I know that. I just wanted to know what you personally feel, if you're okay with it, but I know you're not.
You just recited what I said.
Okay, all right, so I'll move on. I know my next comment relates to Jim Schatzel, and I know he always seems to get busy as soon as certain members of the public make comments, so maybe he wants to pay attention, because I don't think that's particularly,
What's the comment?
nice that he doesn't pay attention.
What's the comment?
But anyway, under the Mid-Jersey Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, the JIF, 12 towns represent that, and one of them is Cold Snack. Bob, do you know roughly what our assessment is that we pay the JIF like annually?
Approximately 500,000.
Okay, that's
For
Cold
all
Snack
layers of-
Townships?
Yes, Cold Snack should.
Okay, and that's raised through taxpayer funds? Okay, all right. The other towns that are involved with that are Aberdeen, Cranberry, East Brunswick, Hightstown, Homedale, Hopewell, Montgomery, Pennington, Princeton, Robbinsville, and West Windsor. They also did what we'll just call the JIF. And I know the committee knows all this, but I'm just kind of doing it for the public's edification here. The MEL, which is the Municipal Excess Liability Joint Insurance Fund, represents 19 local JIFs, which have in total 585 members. So you can imagine there's a big chunk of money that goes from JIF to MEL, which is all taxpayer funded. I'd just like to know why Committeeman Schatzel has, and maybe he doesn't want to answer this, why Committeeman Schatzel has on his Team Life website and Team Life Facebook page a picture of Art Goodwin, who stole a significant amount of money, who I would call, in the prosecutor's office, would likely call a thief, a crook. I just like to refer him to as the dead man for what he did. But the JIF and the MEL helped pay back that money with taxpayer funds. And I just can't stand or don't understand why Jim would have a picture of this individual up on his Facebook page and his website page for what he's done to the taxpayers. So that's,
So Jeff, what does that have to do with the administration of the Township of Cold Snack?
that's all. I got nothing else to say.
You know,
Thank you.
we went over this the last time, Jeff, when you tried a personal attack on Mr. Schatzel.
No, it's not
Personal attacks don't happen here.
It's not a personal attack.
It most certainly is.
It is not. That's how you
Why
want
are you on his
to,
website and his
if
Facebook
that's how
page?
you want to characterize it,
And
then
this
that's
is why we
how
have
you
personal
can
power with you,
characterize it.
because it's a left-handed attack on your lawsuit.
No.
That's what it has to do.
Sure it is.
Because
No, it
the JIF is
doesn't.
defending us in your lawsuit.
Why are you
No, it's
looking
not.
at his, why are you looking at his website and his Facebook page?
Well,
Not
it's not
his
just, it's not just, I know I'm not his friend, like he's not my friend.
So well, why are you looking at
But-
his Facebook page?
But I'm just concerned that, because other people brought it to my attention, but I'm just concerned as to why, as a taxpayer,
Why are you bringing it up here? This is
What does
not
that
a
have to do
forum.
with the administration of the town?
because I'm concerned that it
Concerned
involves
about what?
taxpayer funds.
Concerned that he's friends with the guy that's passed away?
I finished my comment, thank you.
Good. Anybody else? Virginia?
Did I miss something tonight, authorizing award of bid use of township property for agriculture purposes?
Did this?
Did we mention that?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Maybe Mr. Orgo can give me the answer. I've seen your equipment and your men plowing the fields in the spring and also harvesting it. Is that the same kind of arrangement you have with Pine Tree Landscape? Do you lease your equipment and is the leasing put out to bid?
First of all, we don't do any plowing or combining for Hemlock Hill. The only thing we've ever done there for them is spread manure.
Maybe we're not talking about the same thing. This bid was for a total of 30 acres, a piece of property, and I don't know if you paid two pieces of property. One at Smith Farm and we used to call it Sunflower, up by 5 points behind
Like
it.
Warren Road,
This is not a, that's what that award contract was.
30 acres. Yeah.
So this was a red.
But it's your equipment on the ground.
Yeah. I've once down equipment
Do
over
you
here.
donate it?
Yeah.
Is there an exchange of services?
No.
Okay, the other question I have is, are we going to bid the snow plowing?
We are in the midst of a
We did bid that, and this will be the second year of a 3-year contract. The third year's an option, but we're in the second year, so it has been duly bid.
We don't bid every year.
Last year.
We bid every 3 years.
And Mr. Orgo said that he leased his equipment. Now, is the
I
price?
did, my son did. Okay.
Two different things.
Okay. Your son leased the equipment. Has the price changed from year to year?
I don't know.
Pardon?
I don't know.
How can we find out?
You're asking the wrong person. We have a contract with Pine Creek. Whatever relationship Mr. Orgo has with that contractor was fully disclosed, and it's their business, not our business.
Yeah, these are highly contractual relationships.
I don't know.
Is there a decrease in the cost to the town in a multi-year contract?
No.
Does this not work the bidding process?
Not at
What,
all.
we had one bidder. We had one
You
bidder.
had two, and you denied them twice.
No, we didn't. We didn't have two bidders.
Oh, that's-
If we may have had the same bidder and thought the price was too high.
That's what we did.
So we rejected it and got the same bidder and the price was lower. And we still didn't like that, and we ended up negotiating that, because after you did it twice, you're free by law to negotiate. And that brought the price down even further. The price will be constant last year, this year, and if the third-year option is chosen by the town in the contract, it will be the same in the third year. It was duly bid, it was duly disclosed at great length here, including a legal opinion from an independent attorney, said there was no conflict of interest. Conflict of interest might have been with Mr. Orgo. Mr. Orgo recused himself, left the room, and we bid accordingly.
But what's the problem now?
I just wonder if we're thwarting the bidding process.
The bid was done in accordance with state law last year. That's why I'm asking, why are you concerned about it this year?
Pardon me?
We bid it last year,
I know.
and you attend the meetings.
So what?
But why now? Why not ask the question last
Because the
year?
snow's gonna come down.
Well, aren't you happy to have a contractor to plow our roads? Otherwise, we have no contractor.
It's only worse than expensive snow is nobody to
Yeah,
roll.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You know, and I
I'm
wasn't wrong.
excited.
We had one bidder. We negotiated the bid down. We rejected it twice and then negotiated it. But we only had one company bid it. If we didn't have one company bid it, that means we have insufficient equipment to plow this down. We only have enough equipment in our DPW to do about half the town. The private contractor does the other half of the town. If we don't have the private contractor, this town will take, the 32 square miles of this town will take a really long time to get plowed. And
But you did have two bidders initially.
no, we did not. We had a second company that picked up the bid package,
Right.
that didn't bid it.
Right.
So there was only one bidder?
One bidder.
And was that Pine Tree Landscape?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Vince?
Yes, this really is one of those nights when you're very much reminded that we are a community and a family. When we, see Elder retiring, Bob making his announcement, Jim notes the passing of Frank Yates. These are all people who really, over many years, contributed greatly to the character of this community. Eldo's work, he's always done it. I'm around town hall a fair amount. I've had a chance to see, hear what he does at times. And he's always done it with empathy, understanding, and intelligence. And recognizing that assessing is his art as well as science. And he's always made people feel like he understood their concerns and cared about them as people as well as residents. And that particular gift is something that is enormously valuable. And so I will miss him. I consider him a friend, and I know the township people, whether they know him or not, they will miss his gentle, firm, decisive hand in the assessing process. So, and Frank Yates is my next door neighbor for many years. So I will miss him. Joan's a wonderful lady, and so we do know these transitions. They happen, but we feel them because we are a community, a family, not just a municipality. That includes everyone in this room. So with that, I will know. I may not see you on the 17th because the Board of Education also has a meeting that night, and they have one or two issues you may be aware of, not your business, but nonetheless, you may have some minor awareness of. So I may be there, and in the event that I am there and not here, I'll take this opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
That's you. Thank you. Very good. Chuck?
Let's go back to what Mike said. Wasn't it about a year ago we had this problem in town with the car theft? when you were deputy mayor in September, October. No, seriously.
I remember it vividly because of my cars.
No, but it was a problem then, right?
Yes, truth be
Let
told,
me ask you
I'll-
something. I noticed in the Cold Step Journal, it said alarms, 59. It was the most of any complaint on the police department. Does that include B&Es breaking entries? Do we have a problem with that in town?
I mean, statistically?
No.
Well, not statistics. I mean, do we have a problem?
I mean, do they happen? Yeah, we have burglaries like every other town does, but statistically, they're not average. I mean,
Okay,
they're,
but let's go back to the car situation.
So I track these, you know, quite often. I've had this conversation with
The car
quite often.
situation,
There's nothing abnormal. There's peaks and valleys like anything else, but there isn't any trending or anything to alarm the community. We always want to remain vigilant. We always want to make sure we take as the, you know, as Commissioner Fitzgerald said, our keys out of the car. You know,
I thought there was a suggestion to,
But yeah, I just want to make it clear though, that there isn't anything abnormal happening. This is just, you know, we go through cycles where there's car thefts.
and particularly this particular auto theft ring, from what we understand and what we've been told, is they move around to different communities, so as not to stay in one place too long. They'll do a few cars here, they'll move up to Berkeley County, do a few of the more affluent towns there, they'll go to Essex County, do a few of the affluent.
And they catch them. And then when they catch
Yeah.
them, there's new ones that come up, you know, and it's just life. You know?
They're there, but the mistake people make is the one that we've identified tonight.
Yeah.
With this particular car ring, which is leaving their keys in or near their vehicles.
So we always want to take precaution to make sure doors are locked, garage doors are closed, shrubs are, you know, cut away from windows.
Alarm systems are activated if you have them.
do you inform the public on the website about that, about the car theft? Has that been done?
For them.
What did we do with that? I thought we did a reverse.
Yeah, it was-
We've done reverse 911, so when we know that it's helpful, when the chief recommends it, it's helpful to notify. Some of them are random, some of them aren't related. It just depends on the situation. I don't believe.
I know when we had, there was one occasion, where there was maybe several auto thefts, not auto thefts, auto burglaries in a short time, and we did reverse on that one.
And it was in a
because-
particular area.
Yeah,
and
there
it
were
was-
entries into open vehicles, and I think we did reverse on that one, but these isolated burglaries or thefts, they're isolated, and like I said, statistically, and like, maybe Engel pointed out, they're, I hate to say it, but it's normal, and if you look back, as we do over the last several years, the numbers are not aberrant, they're the same numbers that you see over and over again. They're low, but they happen, and unfortunately here, when they happen, they tend to catch people's eyes because it's either an expensive vehicle that's stolen, or because there are so few of us in the community, we know somebody or know somebody that whose house it was that was burglarized or had their car broken into. So word gets around quickly here.
There's two things that are being confused here, though. The
Yeah.
59 alarms that you're talking about, Chuck, just so you know, a large majority of those are false alarms.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so I just want to make sure you don't think that there's...
No,
Okay. Because we don't have 59
I've been on a
breaking
lot of
out.
meetings there.
And the second thing is...
The other thing, I have a question for Tom. Tom, what was the name of the coffee shop building?
Rook, R-O-O-K. The bagel shop just opened up Wednesday, a week ago,
Okay, thank you.
and they're both Cold Snap residents. One thing back at the police station, the problem is these thieves are getting so smart, and so sophisticated. They can drive by your house, and there's a machine they have that can tell them that the keys are close enough, that they can start that car even if they don't have the key, because the new push buttons. And that's how they get to steal these cars.
Well, I think.
They're not taking shit.
Last year when Russ was mayor, I think 1 month we had 12 or 13 stolen calls.
No,
that's never been.
that was never true.
No, the most was his.
Most of the time, I don't want to drive on. That's true. Actually, the truth be told, I remember vividly, and I hate to bore everybody, but it was in November of the year that I was the mayor. I announced that we had 11 cars stolen that year.
Oh, that year.
Every single one of them had their keys in them, and this is why, boy, isn't it a shame we didn't have videotape for that many. We just go back to them, look
And
at
there
it,
were
right?
multiple cars in
You
one.
bet.
In November, and it just so happened that it was, 1 or 2 a month, but it was a total of 11 in the year. Every single one of them had the keys in them. Every single one of them were unlocked. The ensuing January, 2 months later, after I was no longer anything, I had 2 cars stolen out of my driveway. Both cars had the keys in them.
Then why doesn't the police chief put out a press release?
It's been,
He has.
We did.
No, he
It's
has.
definitely been in the paper.
He has, and in fact, I can tell you, Ms. Zane, that on multiple 911s, at the bottom, if you read it, he reminds residents how to be vigilant and how to take the keys out of the car, and reminds them to lock the doors and close the garage doors and check their windows and so forth. And we can get those to you.
Actually, those, they did go out as press release, those last two went out as, the
Story on the-
story on the thefts, and also, the Swift 911s on the email notifications.
Michael, we have a recommendation in place. Rob, congratulations. I'm sure the next 6 months will go very, very quickly, and then all of a sudden be summer for you. So,
37 years went very good.
just briefly, if an update on the status of Route 34 can be provided, it continues to deteriorate. There's lots of heaves and lifts in there. If we have a bad winter, the plows are going to tear that up. I know that there was a lot of dialogue with the state in the past, and funds have been allocated, I believe, were promised to repair Route 34, but is there any dialogue going on with the Assembly about monies to repair, or have the state repair 34? It's basically, it's another tax to the town because of the damage on our cars.
There is an update, and throw to Senator Beck, who recently arranged meetings with the DOT Commissioner, a gentleman by the name of Fox, with all her constituent towns. We were all given 15-minute time periods with the Commissioner and the Senator, and obviously the first question I asked was, gee, this was promised in 2014, and obviously hasn't taken place. And the Commissioner was very honest. Here's exactly what happened with the money allocated or earmarked for us. You're all well aware of the situation down Route 35 in Seaside and Logan, which continues to be an area. And he frankly said that money was diverted down to taking care of Route 35 in that area of town after Sandy. And he did not commit to when it would be done through ToCN. But at least we can understand, we might not like it, but we can understand why that diversion took place. Because that road is still quite, what's the right word, not done.
No, there's two more potholes that just.
Yeah, there's one north of Blackbar.
It's down at the Route 35 in the Seaside area.
Yeah, so on the plus side though, when issues have arisen on Route 34, most notably recently the bridge at Route 34 in Concord North, I'm sure you've seen the DOT out working on that. They were very responsive to our request for emergency repair out there. They were out there the next day. So yes, the band-aiding, but they were responsive. So we'll keep at it. I mean, it's just a question of allocation of resources.
Hopefully maybe next year, but he did not commit.
Well, please keep at it.
Oh, we will, and the Senator is as well.
Michael, so you know, and well, this is the kind of the road that I had with the last DOT commissioner when I sat in your seat, is, you know, if you've been around Cold Snake a long enough time, you know that they paved over concrete. So it's still concrete, and it's still a different product on top of concrete. So at the end of the day, until we're gonna commit a lot of money, which ain't never gonna happen in any of our lifetimes, you're gonna repave, and it's gonna break up, and it's gonna repave and break up. Until they mill out the concrete, or decide they're gonna build another concrete road, we're gonna continue to have the problem. So, I will tell you that I facetiously asked the DOT commissioner what his understanding of chemistry was, because I thought any sixth grader would understand that if you put a different kind of a product like cat on top of concrete, it wasn't gonna work. That's really appropriate response, but I don't think there's really ever gonna be much of a change.
This township committee will continue to pressure DOT, and I can assure you Senator Beck will as well, and I'm sure Senator Cassidy.
We do, we talk.
I just saw a recent letter from her.
Yeah, she was the one that
To DOT.
got the commitment to do it, and was quite proud of that. Unfortunately, when we got to the
Thank you.
And if I understand correctly, there is no money in the transportation fund statewide to repair roads?
Now you're above my pay grade.
That is also probably a bust, yes.
Yeah, right.
The TTF fund is severely underfunded, and by most accounts, they barely have enough money to service the obligated debt.
Is there a solution?
The good news
Yeah,
is,
gas
that-
tax.
I was going to say, the good news is we're about 50 cents less a gallon than New York.
Yay!
But that's where that money goes. Judy?
I thought one of the concerns with the Route 34, 537 project was those bridges that are well beyond their expected life.
That's one of the things we continue to pressure them on.
That was brought to Commissioner Fox's meeting at the same time, and that one is even upside down, far worse. I think that's awaiting something like $15 million of state funds, and already has. The county has stepped up. I think they're willing to come up with $5 million, but until the state comes up with roughly $15 million, that job's not going to get done anytime soon. So I'm not sure when or if we'll see that intersection improvement.
Yeah, it's actually 2 bridges.
But there were 2 bridges. I thought those issues got resolved, and septics and things like that. I think it's ready to go to the design phase. It's really a matter of money to get to the construction phase.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question, because that's a question that is, that I'm asked quite often. I think it's weighing on a lot of people's minds, and we're reminded of it every day we drive down Route 34. So, I would encourage the newspapers here to publish these answers, and maybe speak to Bob a little bit afterwards about the conversation they had with the DOT commissioner.
You have to wonder if it's affecting the businesses on Route 34. I avoid Route 34 at all costs because of the damage to the car.
I mean, they did pave Route 34 on the, what would be the south side, from 537 down to Route 18.
Yeah, that's the best part of the road.
Yeah, and they did do some above average Band-Aid paving of Route 34, yeah. But it is deteriorating. We can always have a keep pressure on it.
Thank you. Not to digress, but since we're on the subject, I had this conversation with the Colton Business Association, because we went to that meeting and they were talking about developing the Route 34 corridor. It's the, if I'm not mistaken, it's the most traveled intersection in the county, 537 and 34 in terms of car counts. And then you go by levels of service. If you study the DOT stuff, level of service A is very good. You only have to wait a certain amount of time to go through the intersection. Level D is the worst they go to level D service. That's a level D service intersection on both sides. But the actual state plan calls for 34 being divided at south of 537, almost down to Route 18, with either a Jersey divider or some kind of an island in between. So one of the conversations that we had with the Business Association was someone has to change the whole view of the plan to really be positive for businesses in Colts Neck, because if the state's successful in the plan, you're not going to be able to turn left into any business going north to south between 537 and Route 18. That's going to affect a lot of people.
No, they built the road is built around the 2 buildings here, the fairways, and that's supposed to, the money's sitting downstairs for the traffic light.
But you can't, understand the population, they have these reliever roads that they talk about being the one of which hasn't finished being built, which is really behind. When's the story? As a start, well, I'll start on where your office is and where Jim's office is. There's a road that's actually supposed to come down to 537. There's 2 different versions, even from the DOT, of where that's supposed to connect to 537, and whether that's on, under the high tension wires, or whether that's really on, somewhere west of that.
And then Hunt's drive parking lot now.
Right, the current parking lot for Huddy's is part of what's supposed to be that access road. It's supposed to help us get into businesses without going on Route 34, because it'll be a divided road. So, I think one of the realities we have to face is that if that's going to be a solution to it, if anybody thinks fixing Route 34 is going to be a solution to rejuvenating or increasing the business development in our downtown Colts Neck, I think that's not totally accurate for the entire plan. So,
Well, it's a piece of it, is a whole plan. It's a plan process.
Well, it's a planning process, but the planning process for DOT is how quickly can they get cars from outside Colts Neck to Colts Neck. So the plan is never how do you get people into Colts Neck so they'll shop more and support the businesses. DOT's sole and exclusive idea is to get it from a D level of service to a C or a B and move people in and out of the town as quickly as they can. So the thinking that DOT is somehow going to help us and improve things, they have a different motive, which I don't think most people have their arms around.
Well, I would think that if there's going to be a division from 537 south to Route 18 on 34, and that the state is going to put up an island or a Jersey divider, I would think it would force some type of completion of the access road along to the, it's going to force, so obviously there's got to be the planning has to be done together to make sure that the businesses continue to grow. If they're going to be shut off, coming northbound on 34, you can't go left across and turn into Delicious Orchards or going south, turn left to go into T-line or whatever. I mean, that's obviously going to be a problem if the traffic can't go in the signs.
Well, this all started back in 1999 when we had the highway access management. We decided, or we didn't decide, it was, everybody's best idea was to divide the roads, the secondary road, parallel to 34, and bring it all the way out to 537. At that time, the state was going to put a traffic light at Huddy's, come around by the bridge, and everybody would go around that way. They were also going to make a right-hand cloverleaf. The state has changed their mind more times than I hate to tell you. There's going to be 2 traffic lights south of 34, one by, almost by Delicious Orchards, and the other one's going to be down by where Fairway Views is. There's another traffic light and a turnaround, everything's supposed to be Becker's, because everybody's supposed to go through Becker's parking lot. They wants to go through there and go down there, that's what that road is for. The state's screwing it up. They don't have the money, they had ideas, meantime they've changed people, they've changed governors, they've changed. Isn't it? I don't think it's ever going to happen. Because it's going to be divided right down past Brock's window, right there by Merchant's Way. The Merchant's Way will only be right in or right out. That's the way it's going to be. But they don't have any money, they're not going to do it.
And even if they do it, they're not gonna
I
do it.
mean, we're talking 15 years ago we sat through all this. You can get downstairs and look at it.
And my recollection is, even with the current plan for 537 and 34, it still gets a D
On level service.
on level.
537 stays at T, I don't know if for 34 is a C or one. It may be.
Yeah. And, you know, and it may not be in the first year, but I think it may have been in the 5-year projections.
The 537 side, where they're going to do the bridge and everything, or all the lanes going left and right, and everything, it's going to end right in the middle of the windows at the cul-de-sac in. It's not even going to go to the entrance of Perkins. So, I mean,
Anybody else? All right. Seeing no further comments from the public, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting. Take resolution 2014-141, motion to go into executive session, and do not expect to come back to the public session. So moved. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? None? So carried.